Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room, and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
One of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player, any age, at any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out NeuroGuard Plus.
NeuroGuard mouthpiece makes it easy to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe in concussions.
NeuroGuard. They control my breathing while I'm riding. It stops me getting concussions while I wreck. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
I'm still doing stunts. And the concussions I've got, I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So NeuroGuard Plus, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, NeuroGuard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, NeuroGuard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
All right, everybody, now's the time. Brown right, motion, tailback slant. Let's put the women and children to bed and go looking for fun, all right? On one, ready? Go, 13! Coming up, go, 13!
Time to talk a little 3A football. Hello, everybody. It's everybody. Grant Goodwin here, Sideline to Sideline, the Week 4 3A edition, brought to you by NeuroGuard Plus, right here on L4 Media. As we've, of course, we're at a 3A game that we're going to be talking about here in the next segment. We had such a fun trip. We'll talk all about that. But I think we're just going to jump right into it with your favorite person. This is one of the most enjoyable Coach X nights that I've had in so long.
Not for me so much.
Now, if you don't know, Coach X is a real coach who coaches in the state of Texas, and also he picks. We give him games that we're going to talk about, and he makes his funny stuff. But he gives an overall diatribe, so we already know what the diatribe is. And this is so brilliant, folks, that you're going to love this. For all the Grant Goodwin enemies that are out there, and there are so many of them. He finally,
hardly any.
I mean, we'll see.
I feel as if we could find more Terry Bennett interviews.
I know, man. Like it's weird because it comes from like my own region. Like I
have one in mind from Cold Spring, Oakhurst.
We were just talking
Cold Spring.
We were just talking about that this week.
He called you a lot of really bad names,
dude.
And not just names like illegal names.
I mean,
he went scorched earth on you
and it would be really weird too, because it would be just out of nowhere.
I wonder if that guy's still around.
I don't know. He was older, wasn't he? Had a
he
real
was
young
older.
wife.
Yeah,
and the funniest,
he had a trophy wife.
The funniest thing was that when you went out there, and this was back,
he was the nicest guy ever.
Yeah, I don't know if he ever even realized we were connected, because this was back when we were still doing Thursday night games of the week. So I didn't go to a lot of the trips back then. But anyway,
that guy hated you.
I mean, like,
man.
It would be like
he hated you worse than Coach X and I hate you, and that's. I mean, I don't hate you, but I just dislike you. But
well, you never say that.
Really
you never say that on
you.
Friday nights when we're in the hotel room and you're wanting.
There's two beds
you're
now.
Having a nightmare and you need a snuggle.
Well,
buddy.
That's true. I'll latch on to anybody after a nightmare, though.
That's why you've been married so many times. All right, here's what Coach X asked.
A lot of times I'll latch on to a toilet Dear God, please.
I've
Just
been,
let me
I've
quit
been there,
puking.
I've been there for that too. Dangerfield has as well. Anyway, this is what Coach X has to say for this week. So Grant says he paid for Coach X to go to a creative writing class at TCCC. That's Tarrant County Community College.
Or Trinity Valley, TVC. What did I say?
No, it's TCCC.
I said Tarrant County or
no.
Trinity Valley.
No, you said Tarrant County because I made the point that I actually went to.
I don't think it could get into TVC.
I don't think you get into TLC. Anyway, the only creative writing I have done is sending DMs to Grant's mom. Oh, snap.
Oh.
And let me tell you, that stuff was creative.
That's shot over the bow.
Yeah, I mean, that's fighting
Wait
words.
till next week.
You know, that how many playgrounds through Texas each Friday or Thursday you hear, you can't say that about my mama. That's fighting words. Anyway,
Speaking of playgrounds, his mom's the merry-go-round. Everybody gets on, flips off.
Is that the one you were thinking of earlier?
No, I couldn't think of any. That was the best I thought of. Wait till next week.
By the way,
and wait till playoff tree comes back.
Yeah, playoff tree.
We're gonna get our revenge.
By the way, if you don't know, here, hang on. I'll just show everybody playoff tree in case you haven't heard. If you don't know the show, we do 3 in a night. The third one's usually the one, and we are on the third one. But anyway, Coach X writes historical nonfiction and gives people what they want. Football, and sometimes an erotic thriller mixed in here and there. Cinemax, Skinemax, Friday After Dark, Shannon Tweed, and Night Eyes 2, followed by the Bikini Car Wash Company. That was a hell of a way to spend a Friday night, and that's what Coach X has to say. There was a really
Do you think after every Friday night game,
yes,
Coach X comes back to the house, win or loses, waits for the wife to go to bed, and then turns on the Kentucky Fried Movie? Remember that one?
That's a great movie. Robert Townsend, that's a hilarious movie.
Yeah, but you know, all the boobs and that, he's just over there just lathering up.
I don't know what's more sad. The fact that you know that movie, well played, but the fact that he
and then his wife comes out. Do you have a really bad cold, honey? All these Kleenexes.
No. She knows at this point. She just walks out, shakes her head, and said, "You've got me in this godforsaken small town, and I'm so sad." But anyway, I'm more worried that
Why are you all swole?
I'm more worried that he named 2 movies. I'm more worried he named 2 movies, but I'm also worried that I know the movies.
I'm going to go watch one of those because I hadn't seen it. I bet I could find it on, what could I find that on? Could I find that on YouTube?
I don't think so. Do you remember, there used to be a really good HBO football show called First and 10. Do you remember that?
No.
Really? I'm surprised you had cable.
I did have cable.
Hey, you know what? We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to review last week, including our trip to what we thought was going to be a Donnybrook. Was it? We'll talk about it when we come back. Right here on Sideline to Sideline, the Class 3A edition.
Hey, Coach, are you ready to elevate your locker room experience? Well, at H&H Locker Solutions, we pride ourselves on delivering the highest quality lockers at the lowest cost in the Southeast. As a coach-owned business based in Alabama, we understand the needs of the coaches and the players alike. Our mission is to improve your locker room and streamline your process, and we're coming to Texas. Did you know we offer a free locker program? That's right. We ship all across the USA, ensuring you get the best solutions tailored just for you and your program. Want to learn more? Drop a comment or give Coach Harris, a.k.a. Ty, a call at 256-458-4427, and let's take your locker room to the next level.
All right, Terry Bennett, Grant Goodwin back here, Sideline to Sideline, the Class 3A edition, right here on L4 Media.
Lights are bright on.
Think about joining our Patreon community, patreon.com/L4 Media Company. For $3 a month, you'll get some hard-hitting information. We did do an instant react last week after the game we were at, Wall versus Jim Ned, as Wall won 24-0. But we also kind of gave our just overarching view of what we saw score-wise. And we also talked about some very underrated hot Cheetos dill pickle flavored chips. Really, really good. So check that out. Now, this week, we will not be going to a game. And go ahead and say this now. There will not be a traditional sideline to sideline show next week. We will have a show. It'll probably be one show, probably recorded on Wednesday night, and I'll just kind of bounce around with some of the region guys, maybe get a couple of the coaches on that we do coaches shows. But we will be taking our bye week next week for the normal shows, but we will be back, of course, the next week for our full slate of shows. But let's go ahead and get into the game that we were at. We went out to Jim Ned to see Jim Ned take on Wall. This is a weird game because it's 24-0, so it sounds like it was a beatdown, but it really, really wasn't.
Well, I think a lot of it was Wall's defense is so underrated. We keep hearing about how good Wall's offense is with Landon York and those guys, but let me tell you, Wall's defense is for real because Jim Ned has a really good offense.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, this is an offense that scored a ton on a 4A Estacado team who, they're not known for their defense, but still you'd think they out-depth Jim Ned and all that. And in that game, Jim Ned, I think scored 42 points. They scored 23 against the Cedar Hill TLC, which is a very bigger school, private school.
Yeah.
I think the thing that impressed me the most was the physicality for both teams, but the physicality for Wall, not only defensively, but offensively. I can't remember the kid's name, but that wide receiver that caught that ball and just absolutely
mowed through 3 Jim Ned defenders.
It looked like
the score.
It looked like what's his name? The now Cam Scatterboo, the Arizona. He just perfect form, head down, face mask up, runs over one, kind of stutter steps, keeps the feet chopping, runs over a second, stutter steps, keeps the feet chopping, runs over the third, and just absolutely rolled them. Now, I will say this. I am a little concerned about Jim Ned's offense. We saw, and we don't talk about injuries and stuff, but I felt that the quarterback in the first half was having an arm issue. As a guy that's played baseball, and I see when guys had arm issues and the things they do with their hands and how they stretch it, he didn't seem comfortable. And I hope that's not a long-term deal. He did play the whole game, and at times Jim Ned moved the ball, but again, this is not this is more about not what Jim Ned didn't do. For me, it's more about the Wall Hawks are the real deal.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking offensively, we're talking defensively. I mean,
they're not going to just surprise you with their speed.
No, and that could be an issue going forward.
I don't know that it is going to be an issue, though, because they're two things. They're fast enough.
Yeah.
They're not going to burn you with their speed, but their quickness is really, they're very quick. Their execution and their physicality, and that is hard to beat. Wall and Gunner in the semifinals, man, that just seems to be a collision course that we're about to see, and I cannot wait for that.
Well, let's just remember, as you pointed out in the 4A show, because they played a 4A team, Canadians kind of sitting there lying in wait. We'll talk about them here in a minute. Man,
they won a big one over Dumas, 40-35.
We always talk about, like, in the playoffs, we kind of end up going into one class in one region because it's so impactful. I kind of feel like we might be seeing that with 3A Region 1. All right, let's continue on. By the way, we talked about more in the. I don't know why we talked about more in the fourth show. The place we ate, Perini Ranch, amazing. Everything about look. This was one of my favorite trips. Like we saw a fun game. We're at Jim Ned, a place I had never. I broadcast a baseball game randomly 20 years ago. I'd never been there to see them play a football game. Great fan base from both sides. Great atmosphere. We stayed in Winters at a really underrated, really nice hotel. We just had a blast. And Perini Ranch, I know it's pricey, but it's worth it. It's probably the best steak that we have had.
Yeah.
Now, let's go on.
We've eaten a lot of steaks too. So,
yeah.
All right. Eagle Mountain 34, Paradise 24. With 1:06 left in the game, Paradise's quarterback, Aiden Olade, throws a 21-yard touchdown pass to Lane Smith to take the 27-26 lead with 28 seconds left, though, in the game. Eagle Mountain's Terry Starks breaks through the middle of the Paradise defense and runs for a 42-yard touchdown winning score.
I haven't seen the play. I tried to look it up. I will say I am extremely surprised in being down and breaking a run for 42 yards to seal the deal. First off, and we saw it with the Dallas
With
Cowboys.
28 seconds left.
With 28 seconds left. And we saw this with the Dallas Cowboys Sunday. If you're a Cowboy fan, even if you don't, if you're a football fan, you know how they won. We are in such an era where literally, if there's 1 second on the clock, a team legitimately has a chance now.
Yeah.
It's crazy how it is now with that. But in saying all that, this in no way is a knock on Paradise. Eagle Mountain is a solid new 4A program. They're probably going to jump right into 5A next year with realignment. I would like to have seen them, win Paradise, but this doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah. All right. How about Franklin 63, Lorena 49? What a statement win for Franklin for this year. Franklin ran for, I think it was 710 yards with 12 different ball carriers. Franklin had 5 touchdowns for over 40 yards.
Well, and, I think the thing, and, I know you can't technically do this, but this is, again, I always say this is what we do as a program. You look at what Lorena did against Malakoff when they lost 38-35 in a nail biter. And then you look at what Franklin did to Lorena. And I know they're in different divisions, but it's just kind of a good comparison to see where Franklin is. And I know for some weird reason, I think certain people think I'm a Franklin hater. I'm not. I think Franklin is a step back from where they've been in the past. I don't necessarily mean that they can't get to where they were.
I think they might be to where they were this year, maybe.
I'm not ready to go that far, but very impressed. As you said,
I'm very close to thinking that, though.
I need to see more because I still don't think Lorena's that good.
Well,
but still,
Franklin has a big one this week.
Yeah, well, and unfair to them because, again, and we said this in the 4A show, and we'll talk about it, but what they do against Salina this week I have no judgment on that. We know where that game's going to go. So, anyway, East Chambers beats.
But can Franklin hold closer to Salina than what Gunner did?
I think we both said in the 4A show we kind of felt it to be kind of the same.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be kind of the same. And again, not in any way a knock on them. I do think this. I think if Franklin can start, if they can run the ball like they did halfway against Lorena, I think they can play keep away from Salina.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
keep it closer.
Yeah, keep it closer like that.
But so is that not the recipe for success?
Exactly, 100%. East Chambers beats Liberty 30-10. Man, Liberty's kind of, and I know they're a 5A school, but Splendora is not one of the greatest teams in the area, and they lost to Splendora last week. I thought that they would. We both picked East Chambers last week. I thought that this would be more competitive, though.
Yeah, but East Chambers kind of continuing to wear teams down, right?
Feels
on
like
the ground. Richard DeHale ran for 126 yards. East Chambers actually had 254 yards rushing in the game. So East Chambers just moving on 3-0, doing what the Buccaneers do.
Yep. Atlanta with a solid win as they beat New Boston 33-7. Jaden Riley runs for 183 yards. They finished with almost 300 yards on the ground. They're now 2-1, and their only loss is to Pleasant Grove. Look, Atlanta, the whole thing with Atlanta, we say this every year. We said this all the way back when they were winning state. If they can stay healthy, they can be competitive. It's just what happens when they get wore down.
Right.
And they have an interesting game this week against Mount Vernon. I know a lot of people, Mount
Vernon's actually pretty darn good this year.
I know Matt Stepp of Dave Campbell's likes to tune into us. So Matt, really, you think Atlanta's a 34-point favorite over Mount Vernon? A little surprised by
not that much.
I think that must be a typo. That must be a typo. Anyway, good win for Atlanta. As we were talking about, Canadian outlast Dumas in a classic 40-35. This was a back and forth game, and we talked about it on the 4A.
Canadian had to come back with under 2 minutes left, right?
Yes. I'm trying to find that. No, they had to make a stop. They just scored late, and then they made a stop to win the game. And as we said, Canadian, everybody's got Wall, and deservedly so, but Canadians sitting right there. And
I
they
have a say in that, right?
And the one thing they have over Wall, at least recently, is that pedigree of winning. And you know how important that is in the playoffs. We have seen better teams lose to lesser teams because that lesser team had that playoff experience. That means way more than what people think. Madisonville outlasts Malakoff 38-24. This was a close game. Malakoff got a couple big defensive stops in the fourth quarter, including a pick six. Man, Malakoff, they're 1-2, but they lose by 3 to Lorena. They lose by,
they're playing a murderer's row.
And they beat West Gruss 33-14. And West Gruss is looking pretty damn good.
I know.
Outside of that game.
Yeah.
All right. Where else?
Vernon 27, Wichita Falls, City View 12. I want to say Vernon's a lot better than what we thought. Vernon might be a top 10 team in Class 3A.
This was basically a back and forth slog, and then Vernon got a 55-yard interception return by Ethan Ribadello. That secured the win. Again, 3-0. City View's now 2-1. City View, we've always talked about how just athletic they were, but I mean, Vernon used to be that as well, and I think they're back there. And I agree. I don't know if they are a top 10 team. At worst, they're on the cusp of it.
I think they're top 10 right now.
And I have no problem with that. Again, I think that's it's maybe we'll find out
around 10, not 5 plus, right? But I think they're around 10. I would like to make it out to actually Vernon to see a game in person.
Well, it sucks. Actually, no, it does. Well, yeah, because we already have a Sealy. Paradise and Vernon's in a couple weeks to start district play.
Ew.
We're supposed to be going to see Sealy and Belleville.
Well, maybe we can watch Sealy Belleville and have it on our phones.
I hope so, because I am very curious about that game because, of course, we know what Paradise is, and we both think Vernon is way better than they were. I say way better. They were 9-4 last year. All right, where are 2?
All right, how about Goliad 21, Vanderbilt Industrial 14? No big shock, right? I think that's a big bounce back win for Goliad after their loss to Tidehaven in a tough one. So I think Vanderbilt Industrial, not the prettiest record, but they played a very tough schedule. So Goliad to get the 7-point win there on the road, I think that's huge for Goliad.
I do think, though, and again, when we're talking about this, we're talking about where they are as a program in the playoffs and how deep we think they can go. I do think that the offense is a little bit of a concern now.
Just because their diversity, running the football, they're fine. Just quarterback play, as far as the quarterback can run all day long.
Yeah,
big, tall, lanky kid for Goliad. But if they're pressed and they load the box and they have to throw, that might be a little bit of an issue. But I think Goliad's good enough to find their way around that for a while, right? How deep into the playoffs? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, Refugio destroys Edna 48-21. I don't know, man. Edna.
Gives me a little pause about Edna being a region favorite,
I think they're more down than what we realize. And this has nothing. And saying that, their 2 losses are to 4A Bay City and then Refugio, who is Refugio. But I would like to have been, at least if nothing else,
should have been within a touchdown.
Exactly.
If I'm going to feel good, right?
And this again, this doesn't have anything to do with the coaching change. So Edna was going to take a small step back anyway because they graduated so many from that team last year that went all the way to losing to Columbus in the state semifinals. So they were going to take a step back no matter who was the head coach.
Yeah.
Now though that they've got. District play starts up in 2 weeks. They've got a bye this week, but they start district play next week, and actually against Orange Grove. So, and they're the
Orange Grove's no tough, they're not going to give it up easy. Orange Grove's pretty good.
Exactly. So we'll find out in a couple weeks where Edna is, at least to start district.
All right, Tidehaven 35, Hallettsville 7. Tidehaven's now 3-0. Hallettsville's 0-3, but they had a very tough schedule before this game. So I think this Tidehaven win over Hallettsville by this margin is very, very impressive.
Look, I have not in any way hid my love of Tidehaven this year. I think Tidehaven is one of those that if they're not playing at worst for the region final, I'll be very, very shocked. I'll say this: I'll be shocked if it's not Tidehaven in state. I think.
Kel Russell, man, that I mean, that kid is just a beast at quarterback.
I think legitimately this Tidehaven team overall, and I've said this multiple times on the show now, I think they're better than the Joseph Dodd one that went to state. And it's not nothing against that team.
They're just a little bit more balanced.
More balanced, more diversified, a little bit deeper. I'm really impressed. And good point on Howittsville, by the way. Yeah, they're 0-3, but their losses are to Shiner, Gonzalez, and Tidehaven. That's pretty impressive for them and Levi Montgomery. I think Howittsville is going to still they're in a tough district, 12-3A, of course, with Columbus and Hitchcock and all them. But I wouldn't want to play Howittsville in the first round if they're the third or fourth place team in district.
All right, Needville 17, Columbus 13. Columbus having a little bit maybe of a quarterback issue, do we think?
Well, I mean, they've literally had a couple games now where they've thrown for under 100 yards.
Yeah.
And in saying that, they've still been competitive in every game. And unfortunately, they've had some turnover issues happen at the worst possible time. I know in the Caquero loss, they were driving to win or driving to go ahead or tie at least, and they fumbled. And then in this game, the running back fumbled out of the end zone and a touchback. And so they've got to figure out, first off, you got to realize, and I know they had the target on their back from multiple years, but especially when you win state, the target on your back when you're a region threat is one thing. The target on your back when you win state, at least, especially that very next year, you've got to answer the call. And to be fair, these are tough games that they're playing. Losing to Cuero for a really good team, losing to Needville for a really good team. They've got another for a really good team over the next couple of weeks. I will say this to Rogers, who's a really solid team. In 3 weeks, when you have to play Columbus, I apologize for what they're probably going to do to you after having to go through Needville, Madisonville, and Belleville. Exactly. Yeah. Columbus just needs to stay healthy. But I do agree. They've got to figure out that quarterback situation.
And I think they will. I think that game, the Columbus Cardinals game will come together and they will start lighting it up here pretty soon. All right, Cuero, 42, Yoakum, 28. Cuero just outlasts Yoakum, right?
Yep.
I think that's the main thing. I don't think I take anything away from Yoakum. I think they're still as good as what I thought they would have been, right?
Doesn't it feel like Yoakum, whenever they lose to Cuero, it's always like 42-28? They're always just there, but they, again, the years when I think the Cuero depth gets Yoakum, and I think that was how it was this year. I think the Bulldogs are going to be perfectly fine.
Yeah. Palestine Westwood, 56, Timpson, 28. No big shock there, but Westwood continues to pour on the points.
Well, I will say it was a little bit of a shock because for a lot of the night, Timpson was up 3 scores at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we've all talked about, we know that Palestine Westwood with Brian at quarterback.
I think sometimes there might be a little bit of question about the Westwood defense.
Oh, and that's my big thing. And also the thing that, again, it sucks, but the region they're in, that second round game, no matter where you finish in district, you can win district that first round, you're going to play, but that second round game, you're going to be playing someone of the Hitchcock, the Columbus, that group. They've got to get past that. And
the defense has to shore up to be able to win those games.
Exactly.
I think offensively, Westwood is there, and they can get past the second round game, but the defense has to shore up in order to do that.
Yeah, and I hope they do, because it is so fun. There are a certain amount of teams that you never thought we would ever talk about. 10 years ago, Alba Golden, and now they've become a consistent team. Even all jokes aside, Huntington has made the playoffs. Palestine Westwood was one of those.
All right, here we go.
Palestine Westwood was one of those teams that I never thought we would ever talk about. So just to talk about them, I love it so much, and I want them to do it. But
Davian Bryant, man.
He is special, folks.
All right, Carthage, 47, Liberty Allo, 0. No shock there. Carthage keeps rolling. Liberty Allo, losing this game to that is no big deal, I guess. But you look at their body of work over the last 3 weeks, and they're not what we thought they were.
But let's also remember they're 0-3, all against 4A teams.
Right.
I do think though at the end of the day that they're missing Dequan Prevost.
Yeah.
And I think they'll
tremendously.
I still think they'll be fine on the 3A level because again they won't play. They're
fine as far as 2 rounds deep, 1 round.
Oh, I still think they're a region threat.
I mean,
you got to realize
region threat.
You got to realize they won't play their first 3A team until district in October when they play Tatum.
Yeah, I still don't know if I feel like they're a region threat now. I think they can hang in there, but I don't think they're like a region threat.
They'll be interesting. They'll be an interesting team to follow the rest of the year. Winsboro dominates Honeygrove. We won't stay long on this. Just to remind folks, Winsboro is really, really, really good.
Yeah, they're as advertised.
Yeah, they really are. And again, I still think this might end up being kind of like we talked about with Tide.
Can you not wait to get to Winsboro Malakoff in district? You're like, I think that's like week 9 or 10. We're going to that game.
Yes, the last week.
I cannot wait to see Winsboro Malakoff. We're going to that one.
I mean, again, way early, but right now, I think Winsboro would probably win by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Who knows?
That's why it's going to be fun.
We'll revisit that one.
Yes, sir.
All right, Grandview 39, Waco Connolly 36. What a slobber knocker.
Dude, you're the one that pointed it out in the Big R's preview shows. You said Grandview was closer to being the Grandview that we had known over the last few years. And man,
because it all starts up front, and they've got some beasts on both sides of the ball in the trenches.
Yes, and man, when you see the season, how they started out the season 3-0, beating 3 4A teams. Now they have their annual slobber knocker with Malakoff. We'll talk about that here in a little while. Also, in 3 weeks. 4 weeks counting a bye. Them and Whitney, they start the district playoff, and I feel like that's your district championship right there. Whitney,
yeah, I think it is.
Whitney 3-1. Their one loss was to Benbrook, a 4A team, kind of controversial. We talked about it last week. I think that's going to be one hell of a game. But yeah, Grandview, dude, you're right. They're close. In fact, I think they might be the favorite, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, let's see. Holiday. Go ahead.
Aforementioned Benbrook. Holiday 51, Benbrook 33. Holiday, man, bouncing back. Well, actually, they beat Munster. Yeah,
I'm really impressed with this one because the one thing is Holiday is very young.
Didn't Benbrook get the best of Holiday last year?
Yeah, I think they did. Upset them, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't know how much of an upset it was because Benbrook, can throw numbers at you, right? If you're Holiday.
Yeah, they were 11-2 last year. Yeah, they beat Holiday 33-29.
Yeah, so Holiday bouncing back like this, that's great. Callisburg 41, Collinsville 27. A little bit of an upset.
Yeah,
how about Callisburg?
I know Collinsville's 2A, but still an upset, especially after
beating them 41-27.
Yeah, especially after Pilot Point drummed Callisburg last week, 34. I think it was 34-7. Yeah, good bounce back win for them. Very impressive.
Yep. Salina 43, Gunner 19. No shock, right?
No. I was impressed that Gunner hung around a little bit longer than I thought they would.
Yeah.
But
it was very close at half.
Yep. But once again, Salina's what they've done all year so far is they hang around. You hang around them until the second half, and then they just wear you down.
Yep. Shiner 41, Poth 19. I thought Poth might be a little bit closer here, but Shiner just left no doubt.
Well, and we talked about it. I think we both think that Poth might be a little bit further down than what we thought they were. In saying that, I still think they're going to be fine. Major Luna threw for 246 yards, 3 touchdowns.
The problem is I think Poth is going to live on Major Luna a lot. They're going to lean on him a lot. I don't think they have a ton of offensive production outside of Luna.
Well, their receiver, of course, because Luna's throwing the ball. The receiver had a good game. But, yeah, you're right. I think and the biggest issue with them is, outside of Major Luna, the problem was that they're a young team.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that. And in saying that, they're still 2-1, and they destroyed Falls Cities last week or 2 weeks ago, 53-0.
Yeah, Falls City got destroyed this past week, too, though. So
yeah, that's true.
Falls City might not be quite what we thought.
The thing with Pirates is I don't think they're going to be really tested in their district, so we're not going to really know.
Well, that's kind of how it seems it always is, though.
Yeah,
I think they come in with a pretty record 2 years ago. Obviously, they lived up to it. I don't know if they're to live up to it this year. All right, Newton 42, Tatum 12. Man, Newton had 364 yards rushing. KJ Porter ran for 210 yards on 20 carries.
I don't think people understand how good that win last week was against the Jefferson team that you and I are very high on. And Tatum is very much improved from where they were. We both thought Newton would win. I will admit I am impressed by how bad they beat Tatum. Newton, folks, I mean, we need to start talking about they might be back. I don't know if they're back, but they're at least now a legitimate, in my opinion, region 3.
Well, 2 great wins back-to-back weeks, right?
Yep.
I mean, hard to argue with that. And the last one on the 3A review is Lexington 33, Rockdale 7. Lexington's Case Evans 17 of 32 for 218 yards passing. Lexington offensively, really good. Defense, as impressive as I was last year, they look pretty darn good this year.
Yeah, they had 3 interceptions in this game. You and I, we previewed this game. We both thought Lexington would win, but we thought Rockdale would make it competitive, the rivalry and all. And no, the Eagles just absolutely dominate.
Yeah, Lexington's just, they're on business trips every week. You got to get down and see Lexington again this year.
I'm telling you, it's weird because it feels like they underperformed last year when they didn't, but I think they feel that way, which makes them scarier this year because it just feels like they're playing at a completely different level. All right, that is the Week 3 review. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to preview Week 4, including Coach X tidbits and some of the games, and we'll do all that when we come back. Sideline to Sideline, the Class 3A edition.
Coach Surratt came in 2007. And really what's remarkable about him is how quickly he turned the program around.
The biggest challenge here was just to change the mindset. Obviously, we want a winning culture, but the first thing you got to instill is, toughness. It don't matter if it's volleyball, football, baseball.
He's put Carthage on the map to a great extent.
Lights are bright on Friday
All right,
night.
Terry Vinogrant going back here,
Texas
Sideline to
town.
Sideline, the Class 3A
People
edition,
train
Week
like
4.
moms
We've
to
done the
play.
review.
There ain't
Now let's turn our attention to this week, and let's do the preview, including some of Coach X's tidbits. A game that I honestly thought we wouldn't be talking about, but look at what Iowa Park has done so far this year, as they're going to take on Wichita City View. Iowa Park on the year, 3-0, beating Pampa, Mineral Wells, and
Stop
Burnett.
right there. Iowa Park, the Hawks, 3-0.
Yeah. I mean,
they've kind of underperformed the last 2 years, right?
2 years. We're talking all the way back to 2021. They were 5-5 since then, 3-7, 4-7, and last year 3-8. Yeah, they've snuck into the playoffs, but as good as 4-3A Division I is at the top with Paradise and Peachster, after that it gets a little hazy, and so I definitely
a little bit of a surprise year, right?
Yes,
and
I
it
think
hadn't been like Iowa Park has played pretty decent teams too.
Oh yeah,
they hadn't been like cupcakes.
Yeah, and it just feels like, and we, when realignment happened and they dropped down to 4 or 3A, we thought
we expected
way bigger
size.
Yes, and Brian Wood now he has stepped in as the head coach, and he has already got them turned around. I'm not saying that they're a region threat, but I think in 4A, 3A Division I, I think they're closer to Paradise and Peachster than they are to the Vernons and the Ponders of the world.
So we know how athletic City View is, but let's go back to Iowa Park. Their running back Coda Johnson is averaging 172 yards on the ground per game in the first 3 weeks. They got a really good quarterback and Reed McCain, a receiver, and Gideon Towner. Offensively, they are looking really good. Defensively, not bad, right? Kind of like run of the mill, would you say? Or
yeah, I mean, they're an average defense in today's world. They've given up 27, 20, and 30. Again, all 3 of those games are all 4A teams, though.
Right.
So I think they're impressive.
Taking on a City View team that has a lot of speed. Their only loss was to Vernon, 27-12 last week.
Yeah.
And we know Vernon is probably a top 15 team, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
They beat Bridgeport 42-7, and they beat a very good 2A Windthorst team 27-20. So this is going to be a heck of a ball game. If I'm up there in the Wichita Falls area, I pay the $5 to $8 ticket to go see this game any day of the week. I like Iowa Park in this one in a close one.
I thought I was going to be the upset. Wichita City Views is favored again. Matt, I think 17 points, and maybe we're wrong. Maybe
we could be.
Maybe it's fool's gold, but I like Iowa Park to not only be competitive but to win this game. All right, here's what Coach X has to say. I thought City View was closing their school to be a different school. That's Wichita Falls ISD. City View is not part of that. What happened? This is a coach, by the way, and he doesn't even know the ISDs.
He's a coach in a different part of the state.
What happened with that? The last info I got was the school said we don't want to be a school anymore. Or was that some other school?
Where's he getting his info?
Yeah, that
from his mama.
Oh, I think we need to have both mamas on this.
Do you think Coach X comes back from his mom's house with a big milk mustache?
Why would he have a milk mustache?
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
I thought he came back.
I don't know. That's the best I
thought
come
he
up
came
with.
back from eating the Roach's Raisin Bran from Gunter that he could play.
The Roach.
Anyway, that would be cool if my school just said, hey, we're closed. I would play Closing Time by Semisonic, turn off the lights, and then say, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. A single tier. Iowa Park wins. Okay, interesting. All right.
Sorry, Coach X. That's the best I can come up with.
It's
you just wait till next week.
Whitney versus Rogers. Whitney on the year 2-1. Again, their one loss was kind of a controversy in how it ended. Rogers 3-0 with good wins. They beat Grossbeck.
It's every time you expect Rogers to do nothing, they're really good.
And then when you expect them to be better, they
kind of
struggle.
like the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how the Cowboys have been. Man, I like Whitney has the athletes to boat race Rogers, but I don't think they will.
No, I think Rogers.
Wow.
Long night. I think Rogers keeps it close. I do like Whitney to win this game, man. I do too. Whitney's offense is special this year.
As long as they stay healthy.
Whitney
Whitney has had the injury bug. Every time we think, oh, look, Whitney, the Wildcats, they're going to finally make it. And then they have some key injuries. If Whitney stays healthy, they can play with anybody in the region.
Their issue is going to be their defense. If their defense doesn't have to be dominant, but you've got to hold teams to 7 to 14 less points than you are starting, giving up 34.
Now this game is in Rogers, right?
Yeah, it's in Rogers. Give me Whitney, but it's going to be close.
Me too. I agree.
Does Coach X have anything to say? Oh no. He didn't. Okay. All right. Where are we going next?
Grandview and Malakoff.
Speaking of
this
Whitney,
is the perennial battle every year, right?
Yeah, we used to go to this game almost yearly. We always joked. It always feels like it's a 21-17 game because these two teams know each other so well.
Yeah.
And I think we're right there again. I think this is going to be a 1-possession, 2-possession game. I like Grandview in this one.
I do too.
I
like Grandview on both sides of the ball. As far as in the trenches, I think Grandview's better. On the offensive line, defensive line, Malakoff is going to be fine, and they're going to be a threat to make it to Arlington again. But right now, they're still young. They're still trying to find their way. I think Grandview kind of push Malakoff around a little bit and win by 7 to 10 points.
I think Grandview's, it's been a 2-year losing streak for them. I think they want revenge. I think Grandview's on a mission this year.
Yeah.
All right, where we're going? Hitchcock versus Belleville, 3A power versus a 4A power.
I like Belleville in this one, and I don't know how close it is. I think Belleville will stretch it out late.
Yeah, I think Belleville does Belleville things in this game.
But you said, I think you told me that Renicki is out.
Yeah, the running back.
He's out for the year.
He's out for the year. Next man up for Belleville. I think people are kind of sleeping on Hitchcock. I know they're state ranked, but they got beat by Hampshire Finette 2 weeks ago, 35-33. They don't have the offense that they did last year. They lost a lot of that, but man, they returned so much on defense.
And they lost a big defensive.
Yeah, defensive lineman, he moved. But so far they've been pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I think, going into the district, we all thought Columbus and all. I kind of feel like Hitchcock might be the favorite in that district at this point.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to come back to that one.
I think Hitchcock's looked better so far.
Columbus has a lot of correctable things that they can correct to make themselves the favorite.
You say that, and I'm not going to say you're wrong. Let's go ahead and talk about them now. Because
we're 3 weeks into the season.
I know, but let's go ahead and talk about that.
Early. There's a lot of football.
Well, it's not early now. We're getting into where the fourth week.
We played 3 games though.
But okay,
7 left.
30% of the season. So you, at some point, you
30
are.
is less than. I'm just saying.
All right.
I think Columbus has a lot of things they can correct.
Okay, so let's go
I'm
ahead and
not saying that they're going to be better than Hitchcock.
Oh, I know. But let's go ahead and talk about them. Madisonville versus Columbus. We talked about Madisonville in the last break. They had a great win against Malakoff. Their lone loss was to 4-8 Navasota in a really good game, 31-24. Jaden Simpson, a real tough runner, 600 yards in his first 3 games. We were at this game, 2 years ago? Really good game.
Yeah, 2 years ago in Hitchcock.
Yeah. No, in Massillville, you mean Massillville, Columbus?
Oh, Massillville.
Yeah, we're talking about Massillville, Columbus.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so you say what they have, their issue is correctable. Okay, they have had a quarterback that in 2 of their games has thrown less than 60 yards. This isn't a Columbus team that runs a Franklin offense. I know they're running the ball more, but they're spread it out. They want to throw the ball down the field, and they might have a quarterback issue. I don't know how correctable.
Yeah, maybe it's not
is.
correctable, but I think Columbus, it's just still a little bit early for me to say they're going to give it up to Hitchcock in district. I don't know. Give me a couple of weeks.
And the weird thing is they lost to Hitchcock when they won state last year. That's why I love that rivalry. But anyway, in this game, I like Madisonville.
Yeah, I do too.
I think they're just going to out-depth them. And again, Columbus is not having an explosive passer. And maybe this is the game.
I thought we were still in Hitchcock, Belleville.
We transferred over.
It's been a
third show of the night, folks. All right, Coach X has
I've been looking at Hitchcock Belleville right there.
I kept trying to push you over there. Anyway, here's what Coach X has to say. Is Rusty Nell still the coach at Madisonville? And folks, if you don't know, that was a real coach. That's his name.
I think he's still at Madisonville, but he's the AD now.
Yeah, he's the AD now. How cool were that guy's parents? Mr. Nell, what are you going to name your son? Russell. Well, then his name will be Rusty Nell. You know that, right? Yes, you bastard. I know that. Why the hell do you think I said it? You think you're cool because your last name is Bennett? Wait, what? And you named your kid Terry? What? Why? Now he's attacked your mom and my dad. What is going on here?
Man.
No, sir,
you're going to have to come up with your daddy jokes.
No, sir, you're not. Now, my son will be Rusty Nell. My daughter will be Acrylic Nell, and I'll have a dog named Carpenter. Columbus wins. Always going with
Carpenter Nell. And Tenpenny. Tenpenny Nell.
All right, Franklin versus Salina. Look, we talked about this in the 4A show. Salina's going to win this game. I'm just wanting to see if Franklin can stay close like Gunter did for a little while, and I think they will.
I would like to see Franklin stay close for 3 quarters, and I think they can because they use a lot of ball carriers in R.J. Fulton, Bubba Jackson, Ryan Smitherman. That's their primary backs, right? And I think the Franklin defense will get a good chest against Bo Bentley and Logan Gutierrez and White Villarreal. But I think Franklin's offense is good enough to keep it close early into the 3rd quarter.
Yeah,
and then obviously depth and athleticism for Salina is going to stretch it out. But I would really like to see Franklin keep it a little bit close in the 3rd.
All right, here's what Coach X has to say. His last one of the night. Call Mark Fannin anything but scared. Fannin says, "Sir, a coach says, sir, we need to start making out our pre-district schedule." Fannin says, "Oh, we do? Okay. Call Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft, and Al Davis." "Sir, Al Davis has been dead for 10 years. Don't give me problems. I'm making a schedule." Coach Jerry and the others, Jerry and the others said they can't play a high school team. Oh, yeah, he also fired Jimmy Johnson for winning, so the guy makes bad decisions. Piss on him then. Call Salina, China Spring, and Lorena. One of them will play us, I think. What's that? They all said they would? Well, that was easy. Salina wins, though. We both agree, or we all agree on that.
Yeah, I love Franklin, though, not scared to play anybody, man.
Hell no. And I love that we are in an era where it feels like more of the top teams are willing. And people can knock Salina because they're playing Franklin and Gunner. But, folks,
It's a workout for them.
Nobody wants to play Salina in 4A. And I don't know a lot of 5As that want to play Salina because you don't get anything from that other than getting it pushed in by the 4A Salina Bobcats.
All right, let's go back up real quick. We missed one. Joaquin and Grant Saline. This ought to be a doozy, right?
Yeah, you know, you and I have been very high on Grant Saline all year long. We talked about it in our Big R's preview show. We felt like people were forgetting about them.
Palmer kind of snuck up on it.
But Palmer's a really good 4A
Eric
team.
Cisneros.
Yes, I mean, we'll talk about them in a minute. That game doesn't bother me as much. Like, I mean, you'd like to see them win, but I totally get that. Joaquin, on the other hand, I saw a little bit of their game, and it's not. I couldn't really get anything out of it. Against Tenaha last week, they destroyed them.
They're not. Joaquin doesn't have a ton of speed, but what they've got is some dudes that will just bowl you over.
Yeah,
for 4 or 5 yards.
Yeah, and they're a big team for down there. You got Connor Rios, who's 6'6", 245 pounds. They have that type of size on the line. Brody Cummings, 315 pounds. In saying that, I like Grand Saline to win this game.
I do too. It's in Grand Saline. I think Grand Saline.
It's in Joaquin.
Oh, is it Joaquin?
Yeah.
What am I doing
Yeah,
on this run sheet?
You've been like,
I know, dude. Sorry.
Oh,
I've had too much on my mind.
Again, man, it's
the rehab you got me going to this week.
I don't want to go to rehab.
I think Grand Saline just has too much quickness and speed on the edges.
I agree. And saying that, if Cooper Bragg goes off at running back for Joaquin, all bets are off. Last year, Grant Saline.
Does Joaquin have a prox?
Yeah, exactly. I think the athleticism of Grant Saline will make it. But I do think this is a really, really close game.
I do too. I think it's probably one of the most underrated games all week in Region 2. And is that Region 2 or 3? All of a sudden,
I think it's Region
3.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Jefferson, Pittsburgh, another underrated game. This is going to be a good one. Jefferson's quarterback, Chance Washington, and their receiver, Travis Gray, just make this offense just click. They've been on a mission so far, 3-0.
No,
Pittsburgh,
they're 2-1. They lost to Newton.
Huh? Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting.
Yeah. Great
Newton.
game, though. Great game.
Yeah. Pittsburgh's quarterback, Cord Johnson, receiver, Camden Doty, and Lane Hill at running back. Both, Pittsburgh is 3-0. This is in Pittsburgh, I believe.
Let me look. Hang on.
I think it is in Pittsburgh.
It is in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. All right. At the Pit. They don't call it the Pit, but I just call it the
They
Pit.
should call it the Hot Link.
Ooh. Hey. Yeah. Love me some Pittsburgh hot links. I like Jefferson in this game. I think the Cinderella season for Pittsburgh is going to continue, but it's not going to continue without any scars on it. I think Jefferson comes in and wins this ball game, and it might not even be real close.
I that's the part. I think Jefferson wins. I want to, and again, this is more talking to the 4A Pittsburgh. I want to see if Pittsburgh can keep this close with Cord Johnson and Cameron Doty.
Within 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, if they do, then I'm gonna be like, okay, I'll be kind of impressed.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish it up. Edgewood 2-1. They beat Commerce to begin things, lost the Troop in a shootout, and then beat Tioga last week.
Troop is pretty darn good team, man.
We're both very high on them, and I'm very high on Palmer. And again, I know Palmer, they're at the 4A level, but still they're playing a 3A team. I mean, they're 3A level. I don't want to say they're 4A.
Yeah, what do you do?
They start out the year 3-0, upsetting. I think a slight upset of Grand Saline. Look, Edgewood.
What, Palmer over Grand Saline? I don't know if that was necessarily an upset.
That's what I'm saying. I think at best slight 50-50.
Look, Eric Cisneros, that quarterback, threw for 250 yards last week against Grand Saline. Has thrown for over 450 yards in the first 3 weeks and has ran for over 500. This dude, Eric Cisneros for Palmer, is a game changer. And so Edgewood's defense, good luck against Cisneros. Grand Saline tried it. Didn't work for them, right? Now, Edgewood has a really good quarterback in Trevor Golightly, who's thrown for he threw for 310 yards last week. Thrown for 700 and some odd yards in the first 3 weeks. So this is a game of 2 quarterbacks, but I think Palmer wins this game. Edgewood's running game might give them a little bit of an advantage, but I think Palmer's the better team here.
Last year, and I think this year is going to be kind of the same, though I do think Palmer wins. Last year, Edgewood outlasted Palmer 52-47. Edgewood can score with anybody in the state. Their problem is they can't stop anybody.
Right.
That has been their Achilles heel. I mean, like last year.
You got an offense coming against that, like Palmer coming against that Edgewood defense. I think Palmer's going to feast this year.
Oh, I think both of them do. I think this is exactly like last year. I have Palmer winning, but I think this is easily a 55-50 type of game. I think both of these offenses are going to put up major points this week. I think it's going to be a fun one. Is that it?
I think that's it.
All right. We want to thank everybody for joining us. Again, if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, all you got to do is email the show, Grant and Terry at s2sport.com. You can also follow us on Facebook on Sideline, and on Twitter at Grant and Terry. Again, next week, we will not have the traditional 3 shows. Grant will be out, and so we'll figure something out. I'll probably, again, bring on some regional guys and just kind of talk with their region and all that, but we'll figure that out next week. Also, please think about joining our Patreon for $3 a month. You can get some other stuff like instant reaction shows. Now, we're not going to a game this week, but I will be doing an instant reaction either Friday night or an early Saturday morning. I'm going to order some pizza, get some drinks, and just sit in the studio and watch as many screens as I can. But until next week, he's Grant, I'm Terry, and this is Sideline to Sideline, the Class 3A edition on L4 Media.
They ain't